Back. In this lecture, we're gonna deal with creating that search book function that I was talking about in the last lecture. So how do we do that? It's pretty simple actually. You just define a search book method. And remember, what we're doing here is pretty simple. All we're doing is when the button is pressed, let me show you what I'm trying to say. When this button is pressed, search, I want to just change these things and add new things to it. That's all we're trying to accomplish here. And what is this button called? Let me show you. This find book has this called search button and search input things that we're going to manipulate. So first thing, if self.search input, we take the text and the person has input nothing. What do? We don't do anything. So we do nothing if that is the case, and if they do enter something, we go to our library and we find a book. We find a book by what? We find a book by their ID. We convert it into an integer, and of course there will be a problem, and we're not going to solve that problem here. The problem is that if someone enters a string, what happens? And you can solve it yourself. You can add a try catch block here and then give them an error, show them a dialog box that you input a string, please input an ID as an integer. But we're not going to do that here. I leave that to you. I am sure you're more than capable of doing that now. If the book that we found did not exist, what do? Well, we do nothing. But if it does exist, we are in that column right now. So we go to the search table, which is right here. This is the search table, right? We've called it search table as well. So this search table has some rows, and we want to have a row count equal to 1. Why row count will be equal to 1? Well, we'll only have one result coming in. We'll have a book dictionary that we'll create from the book that we found. Remember, it's in the class format, not in the dictionary format. We convert it into a dictionary. And then the same thing we used in the previous, well, let me show you what I'm trying to say. We're going to copy paste it from here. Remember when we defined this function called this function, I guess, where we populated this function right here, where we populated a table? That's what we're going to do here. We're going to copy this and we're going to paste it here in our search book function. Well, the book is already converted to a dictionary. We don't need to worry about that. And after that, you say, well, yeah, that's about it. This is gonna work just fine. So let's run this and see what happens. First thing is we have to connect it. We have to connect the search function. And is it even working? Yeah, it's not working. It's the search table that we have to update. And remember, the book index is the column, but the index here is 0. Index is definitely 0. We have not set it equal to 0, but it's the row 1, and it doesn't matter because this will always be, it will only run once. This thing right here, because books are 1. Just in case we don't want to do it, you can just include one loop here if you wanna. I believe we can do it with one loop, so why care about that? Set which item? Set the 0th item here to whatever value you're looking for. Same with this. What is the book index? It's just given by that, and that's about it. So if we turn this on, will it work? Let's go and see. Let's connect this function called search button self.search. What's it called? It's called the search button. And if I click that button, I want to be able to do stuff. Clicked, connect. self dot, well, search. Let me see if that is the case. Search book. So let's run this. There's an indentation error at line 131. Definitely, of course. Remember, we created a for loop before and we didn't end it, so that was the problem. There's no attribute named search in search books, so that's a problem. Again, in line 191, so, and in line 65, that's surprising. It's called search book, so that's a, again, you get these errors all the time. It's not a big deal. If I find for 2, I find nothing. And well, technically, is there any ID? Let's find for 234. It will find for 234 and it will give you the results. So we have a problem here where we're unable to iterate it. I think we will solve it just now. Yeah, that's book-dict. So again, these errors, they come and you can deal with them in multitude of ways. Now that's a problem. So we find a book and we convert it into a dictionary, then we enumerate it. So where is the problem? The problem is 133. It's called book-dict. Again, these problems come and you don't have to be surprised when they come. 234. And I just debugged the whole program right in front of you. That should be a valuable lesson, because when you're writing your own programs, this is the deal. You gotta be able to debug yourself. Now you can see I have an ID and I am able to set it equal to something. I have 0 and I have 234. Now what you learned here was to be careful when you're writing code, and whenever you have a problem, the Python compiler will tell you what the problem is, and it's just your job to debug the code and figure it out yourself. Sometimes you may even spend hours on hours just figuring out one problem, but it's just a learning experience and you will get better at it with time. So that's about it for searching a book. Now I believe that we have actually made the whole application. We can create a new book, we can delete, refresh, save them locally, and we can search books. So what next? Well, we can also add style sheets here, and that is what we're going to do in the next lecture. We're going to add style sheets to our program to make it look more presentable, and I'm going to provide you the style sheets so you don't have to write them yourself. You just load them into your program and I will give them to you.